to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, October 13th, 2020. As always, we're coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with everybody. So today is our 7th year anniversary, and it should be like 8 or 9, I think it is. I think 8. But 7 years ago, we started, actually about 8 years ago, we started doing the show. October 15th of 2012, and I took a year off, so that was there, but God, I can't believe it's gone by so fast, and honestly, I have you guys to thank for it, really, honestly, truly. I love doing the show. It's something that I really love to do, but without hearing you guys and your responses and all the things over the years, excuse me, we wouldn't keep going. So thank you guys so much for everything over the past 7 years. And I hope there's another 7 and 10 and 20, 30, 40 years after this of this show. And we only get bigger from here. So thank you guys so much for everything. Also, we have a question from John Valetto. And he wrote to me, and this is a very good question because it kind of ties into the show and kind of ties into a lot of things that we talk about. But he asked, he's like, you say you have dyslexia, and I see that you mess up on pronouncing words, especially like in your last show. Do you ever get embarrassed or feel like you're less credible? And absolutely not, John. First of all, let me tell you, that is an excellent question, and the reason why I feel that way is because a lot of people would. A lot of people, when we have mental health challenges, or we have something that challenges us in our life, we're taught by society to be afraid of it and be ashamed of it. And me, I go towards my challenges. When I was little, I had a hard time reading in school and studying, and school was very difficult towards me. And a lot of teachers wrote me off, told me I was a problem child, and just didn't really believe in me at all, and didn't give me because they thought I was a bad student. And it wasn't that I was dumb or I wasn't a good student. It was just the fact that I didn't learn like everybody else. And so when I do these shows, I take that knowledge and I take everything that people didn't teach me, and I said, you know what? There's nothing wrong with having dyslexia. There's nothing wrong with having ADHD or being bipolar or having depression or chronic or whatever it is, DID. There's nothing wrong with these. You have to learn to use them to your advantage, and you just have to figure out, okay, well, if sentences is hard for you, then maybe break them down in a way. And one of my biggest faults still is big words. A lot of times, especially in the medical industry, there's a lot of big words there, and a lot of times they are a combination of multiple things, and they put them in this, and you got to sound them out in order to pronounce them. And I don't care if I've known the word for last 20 years, or if I've just learned it. My mind sometimes will read it and mess it up, and that's okay. You should never be embarrassed or feel less credible just because you have trouble speaking. And that's one of the reasons why I do the show like I do. Because I've had people tell me, well, sometimes you stutter, sometimes, well, that's because my brain is not functioning the way it needs to be. In that sense, my dyslexia is kicking in. And no, I don't feel less credible at all. And if someone out there is judging my show or me and saying, oh, well, she can't pronounce this word, or she can't, she stutters, or she can't, it sounds like her words aren't there. Well, that's okay. That's quite all right. There's millions of other shows out there, and they miss out on all the knowledge of this show. So if you're one of those that can get past and not judge someone else because they have habits or they have challenges that they're facing, but are proven to you that even with those challenges, you can still do things in your life and be proud. Hey, I got 4 medical degrees, and a lot of people said I would never amount to anything. I would never do anything. And look at me now. So no, I don't feel ever embarrassed, and I'm going to mess up a million times. I'll probably mess up at least 5-6 times on this show tonight. But Josh, thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate that question. And guys, if you have any questions, if you have anything, hey, email us and we'll write them in and maybe put them on the show, especially if there's something where I feel that's educational. So thank you again, Josh. I appreciate you. As always, we're live on Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, and LinkedIn. Caleb is on my accounts and on all those accounts. And if you have any questions during the show, feel free to hit him up and he will relay them to me and we will talk about them on the show as long as they pertain to this show. As always, there are replays on Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, Stitchers, you know the rest. You've been listening for a long time. So, all right, guys, let's get into tonight's show because tonight is about the wardrobe of daily toxicity. So what do you think I'm going to talk about? Yes. Do we dress ourselves up with toxicity? We do. We have a habit of being toxic. We love toxicity. Our lives are chaotic. We love chaos. And the more you say you don't love chaos and the more you say you hate drama, the more you love it. Because I never sit there and say I hate chaos. I never sit there and say I love drama or I hate drama because it's not in my life. I don't need it. And so if it's not in my life, then I don't need to talk about it. And we dress ourselves up. Our lives, our normal lives, for many of us, is so toxic. And this is our normal. This is our norm for many of us. Many of us go through our lives with this whole idea that we have to fight our way through. We're aggravated because we feel that people are constantly coming at us and people have hurt us, and there's always something. And so we're fighting all the time. And because we're fighting and because we're aggravated and we feel so defensive, we feel like we have to be better than one another. And we really disconnect ourselves from who we truly are and what we're really here to learn. Because in those instances that we're constantly trying to prove ourselves and we're constantly putting up armor, it really is a hard life to live. And it really is hard to find who you are and where your direction. I was actually speaking with someone the other day, and this comes up all the time about people being stuck, and we'll get into this a little bit later. But being stuck is just an illusion. It's just a frame. It's just an idea that we put there. It's not that you're stuck. It's that you're toxic. You have toxic energy, and your emotions have become toxic in the sense of that you are so engulfed in your emotions that you can't see the world around you. And we'll get into that a little bit later, because I know a lot of you people are going to be like, well, what do you mean? But it is true. We are never stuck. We are never lost. We are never these ideas that a lot of people try to make money off of you. So if someone ever says they're going to unstick you or unstuck you, or they're gonna light the way of your path, and they're trying to make money, then they're just trying to make money off you, because what the truth is that we got to eliminate the toxicity. We got to get all the toxicity out from within us and around us in order for us. But the first thing I want to ask us is, or you, I should say, not us, but yeah, I guess we're part of us, is do you really enjoy being miserable? I mean, I want you to think about that, because your first answer is going to be no. But in reality, if we're attached to being miserable every single day, then on a subconscious level, we must love it. Because our body must need to feel that in order for us to feel alive. Maybe we don't like being miserable, but maybe that's the only thing that makes us feel alive. Maybe that's the only thing that brings us that feels like, because we're so used to it, because it's such our norm, that we feel that being miserable and living in misery and fighting and all this stuff is the way to be. So then we have to ask ourselves, what is it about the drama that keeps us coming back? Why do we love drama? It's funny because I was driving in the car today, and on my way back, for some reason, I decided there was an ad, and it said, "Oh, Simon Cowell's top insults to American Idol." And I don't watch any of that stuff, but for some reason, I said, let me watch it for a second. And I kind of figured out why I wanted to watch it. And I was watching all these people sing really bad. And I saw these people. And then, of course, the judges were all making fun of them and just putting them down meanly. And I thought, why do people watch this? Why is that funny to people? Why is someone making fun of somebody else funny to people? And all the comments, all the likes, and all the people being rude to all the people, at least trying. Hey, even if you're bad at something, you go out there and you try on national television, I applaud you. Because you know what? Because it takes guts to do that. And even when someone spits in your face, you still went out there and tried. And I give you credit for that. And so I sat there and I said, well, these people love drama. There's something about that keeps them coming back. Because if they're unhappy, because people who love drama are unhappy. And the goal is, and the trick is, if they're unhappy, then why can't you see that you're unhappy? You know deep down you're unhappy, but you love drama, you love fighting, you love chaos. You love anger and pain and suffering, because you wouldn't be here if in this area, not on the show, I mean, but you wouldn't be in this situation if you didn't, because people who truly don't want it in their life get rid of it. And we do. We get rid of it. We have no problem being loners. We have no problem with a couple friends. Hey, I have like 3-4 friends or like that live in Florida. Before my other friends get upset, I don't mean in other states. I'm talking about in Florida. So I have to put that out there. Last time people came after me, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I was like, I would never want to offend my friends, but yeah, and it's we have to start noticing. We have to start being truthful with ourselves. And a matter of fact, we choose to be consumed by our daily toxic habits. Toxicity is our choice. And I'm going to say that again, everybody. Being toxic, your life, everything that is going on in your life right now is your choice. You may sit there and say, "Oh no, Miss Raina, you don't understand. I'm this, I'm that. I have this happen to me, and my parents are like this, and my sister's like this, and my friend." I get it. Trust me. I grew up with abuse. I grew up with bullying. I grew up with dyslexia, ADHD. I grew up with bipolar, depression, anxiety, panic attacks. You name it. Gangs. I've been beat up many times. I won't even get into all that stuff, but I have been through a lot. So I get it. I do get it. And those are just excuses. Yes, we all have past, and trust me, I do understand how hard it can be, because when you're in that anxiety, when you're in that depression, it is hard to see what I'm talking about. And I've been there. I really have. But then you have to come to a point where you have to work on yourself to get you to a point where you say, you know what? This really is my choice. True, in the past this has happened, but now I'm an adult. Those things no longer are in my life. And if they're no longer in my life, then why are they running rampant? So our toxicity, our daily habits that create these toxicity is our choice. And until you say, yes, that is true. Miss Raina is 100% right in that yes, I agree. It is my choice. If at all you say, well, I can understand it. But once you start saying buts, you don't agree with me. And once you don't agree with me, you are going to be stuck in this toxic environment forever until you start learning to understand that. We've created a whole wardrobe. You see that closet back there? Imagine that closet, or your closet, filled with clothes. Now take those clothes, and on each piece of pants and sweaters and blouses and t-shirts and décolletés and everything, imagine you coat each one of those piece of clothing with toxic traits. So maybe one of those clothings represents a toxic friend, or a toxic relationship, or a toxic relationship with your mom or your dad, or the way you think. Imagine putting all your thoughts on all your clothes about all the daily things how you think of, all the times you say no, all the times you say yes to people that are going to hurt you, and that because this is our choice. That is what you dress yourself up with daily. And that is why we called the show what we called the show, as far as the wardrobe of daily toxicity. And actually, I got to give Caleb a little kudos on that, because he actually came up with that, and with the title, and I actually like it. So kudos to you, Caleb. But it is true, people. It is very true. I know you're smiling. And it is very true. And so you have to realize that these are the things that we're constantly putting on with us. So let's get into the mental, because the mental, the emotional, spiritual toxicity is what we're really talking about. So on a mental level, the first thing we're going to say is, who do we surround ourselves with? Who do we surround ourselves with? Who are your friends? Who are your family? What type of people do you surround yourself with? Because the people that you are surrounded by are actually the most toxic piece of clothing that you have in your wardrobe. So if I open that closet and all those clothes in there, which there's no clothes, but all those clothes in there had represented a piece of a toxic person in there, most of us would be filled with our closet, because we have fully integrated toxic people in our life. Because remember, we are who we hang around with. We are who we choose to see ourselves as. So if we don't see ourselves as worthy, as lovable, as compassionate, then we're going to find people that treat us that way constantly. And most of us don't realize that the people we call our friends, or the people we work with, associates, are causing the most drama and toxicity in our life. So of course, our mental state is going to be affected. Now, yes, this is on you as well. And I know this is hard for a lot of people, because a lot of shows, a lot of books out there are always going to tell you that it's everybody else's fault, but the truth of the matter is that it is our responsibility and our fault for the people we have in our life. And we have to do this. When I was growing up, my dad always used to say to me, Raina, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Because my grandmother used to say that to him. And when I was young, I'd be like, Dad, whatever. I didn't. But then one day in my teenage years, it clicked. Because I was looking around, I was like, something doesn't feel right. I'm always around friends, but they don't feel like my friends, because they lie to me. They treat me like shit. They ignore me. They do. And I'm sitting there and oops, I'm sorry. I apologize, people. I didn't mean to do that. I just realized that. I apologize, everybody. This is a PG-13 or whatever it is show. It's not rated R, so I apologize. But they treat me really bad. And you know, you sit there and I thought about it. I was like, wow, my dad's right. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And I realized that 99% of the time that's true. Most of the people that we hang around with are a reflection of who we truly are. So if we're hanging around people, even family members, if we're hanging around people that are constantly mean to us, lie to us, deceive us, hurt us, ditch us out, whatever it is, then that is what we think and feel about ourselves, and that is our choice. True, there are some times where we hang out with people that aren't like us. There are people that people would say to Miss Raina, why are you hanging out with these people? You're nothing like them. And I would say, well, you know what, I grew up with them and, you know, I feel close to them. But eventually when I got older, that really wasn't the thing. So you just have to remember that those people are a reflection. And that's one of the things I realized. I was like, well, even though I feel close to them, but they're acting this way, they're a reflection of how I feel. If I demand love and compassion for myself and to be treated right because I deserve that, then that starts to become the people that are around me. I have no problem today. People often ask me, people are like, how do you just let go of people so easy? And I say, well, it's not letting go of people easy. It's that I understand where people have to be at a certain time. And I understand who I am. The people that want to be in my life are going to treat me a certain way. And the people that aren't in my life don't want to treat me that way or aren't meant to be in my life in that way. And I'm okay with that because I'm good in here. So, all right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. And if you're just joining us, we are talking about mental and emotional and spiritual toxicity. And yes, I know. So let's get into one of the biggest things that we have problems with is we are overthinkers. A lot of us, we overthink, we worry. We're constantly worrying about our future. We're constantly worrying about our past, but we're never in the present. And what do you think creates a lot of mental and emotional toxicity as well? Overthinking and worrying. And even in Chinese medicine, we understand that worrying disrupts the spleen and the stomach. And that's one of the things that people who worry a lot often get indigestion and stuff, because in Chinese medicine, we realize that, well, you just can't swallow the truth of the situation. You can't let it go. You can't digest it. So our body reacts as it is. And so many of us, we're sitting there and we're saying, well, we're overthinking. We're worrying. Well, I got to worry about the future because my mom and my dad were on me my whole childhood. And I got to make sure that that everything that we're doing is right. I got to make sure I succeed. I got to make sure that all these people admire me and look good and I make money. That's tiring, isn't it? That is very tiring. And I'm out of breath just thinking about it. I am. I'm just, I look at it and I say, toxicity stops. People are always like, I feel stuck. I don't know where my path is. I'm lost. Well, that's because you're worrying. You're stressing yourself out. You're thinking too much of things that don't exist. The future doesn't exist. The past no longer exists. The only thing that exists right now, every second, is the present. Toxicity stops us from seeing the truth on a mental level. The reason why you feel stuck or lost is because you're thinking about things that don't exist. And so you're creating this mental block, this mental toxicity by overthinking. And so when you're overthinking, you're creating confusion, and your mind is creating this deception because you think you should be in a certain place. You think you should have certain things. Instead of mentally accepting your life for the way it is and understanding that everything in your life is exactly where it needs to be because you're supposed to learn anything, you want to change it all. And you can't change it all. You're exactly where you need. If you were meant to be a rock star, you'd be a rock star. If you were meant to be Mary Poppins the baker, you'd be Mary Poppins the baker. But you are meant to be who you are, and you're exactly where you need to be. So accept it. Accept it and love it and own it. That is the major thing, because when you overthink and you overworry, then you cause stress. And we know, we've done several shows, even a couple of weeks ago, on the importance of health and your stress and how much stress causes this. If you think, because remember, the brain, the prefrontal cortex is responsible for thinking. If you get that shut down, if you're in panic mode, well, then the amygdala gets signaled and it says, oh my God, let's turn on the HPA axis and let's hit the adrenals and let's shoot cortisol and all these hormones and everything. And we're constantly living that way. And so how can you possibly feel like you're going on a path that you're supposed to be going on when you're already on that path, but you can't see it because of those ideas? So you got to remove yourself from those situations. You got to be able to look at it and say, you know what? I'm deceiving myself. I'm making myself worry about the past and the present. I'm making myself worry about, the past and the future. I'm making myself worry about things that don't exist because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. I don't care how old you are not guaranteed tomorrow. You were guaranteed today and yesterday, but you're not guaranteed tomorrow. And even if you have something flourish, you don't know how long it's going to last. So being present is the only thing that matters. If you want to remove the mental blockage on your sight, if you're feeling, like I said, stuck and lost and all these things, then you have to remove that delusion of worrying about things that haven't happened yet. Focus on today. Focus on being happy. The most happiest people in the world, including myself, live in today. That's all we care about. Caleb talks to me all the time, and he's like, oh, well, what do you think about we should do next week or 2 weeks from now? I'm like, I don't care. Let's focus on today. What do we got to do today? What do we got to do this week? That's all I care about. Well, yeah, but don't you want it? And he stresses out sometimes. And I'm like, no. I was like, let's just worry about today. Because, hey, next week, what if all my stuff goes away? What if my house catches on fire and I don't have it? Then what's the point of planning? Today we had it. Today we're enjoying it. And that's all that matters. Right now, I'm having a wonderful time. I'm loving that you guys are with this show. And yeah, I just, and that's all we have. And how wonderful of a moment are we sharing right now in this moment? Who cares about tomorrow? Who cares about an hour tonight? Tonight is all we have. So feeling stuck is just an illusion. You have to remember that. Anyone who tries to take a class, I'm feeling stuck, pay me money, take this class. It's a scam, people. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. And that's one of the biggest signs that you have to remember, and that you have to move yourself into the present. Stop worrying about these things. Being overcritical leads us to being self-imposed. How many of us impose ourselves on everybody, and we're uncompromised in our attitude? Take politics, for example. I don't even want to touch social media right now. Why? Because everybody is freaking out. It's either the red pushing their way on the blues pushing their way on the reds, or this party or the green party or the gold party, and it's just chaos. And even with COVID, wear your mask, don't wear your mask. COVID's a scam. I mean, because we're trying to find out. We're so toxic. We're so consumed in drama and hate and anger that we become so critical of everybody. And if we don't push our way on everybody, and we don't compromise to anything, then we're somebody. We're strong. We know what we're doing. And that's just fear. That's just plain fear. And that's why I don't involve myself in those situations. You have to remove yourself from any of those situations. On my social media, I remove people all the time, and I know people ask me constantly, "Hey, why did you remove me?" And I said, well, because and even in my personal life too, with friends, I stopped talking to people because I say, you know what, I like you, I really do, I always see the goodness in people, I always see what they're capable of, but it's what you show me now is what I go off of. And if all you're showing me is that you're hateful and closed-minded and bitter, and that, then I don't want that in my life, because I don't want your mental, emotional, and spiritual toxicity to become mine. I like my clothes clean. I like them, even though I don't know how to iron really well, and this is all wrinkled. I like my clothes clean. All my clothes in my closet are clean. I like them. I like them that way. And as much as I love helping people and respect everybody and understand that they have a path that they're on, that doesn't mean that I have to take part in their toxicity. And that's the choice that you have to make. You have to say, you know what? I'm being overcritical. Let's get rid of it. These people are being overcritical. Let's move on from them, or let's put space in. Let's put boundaries, because boundaries are very healthy for people, especially on an emotional, mental level. Most people who suffer with depression and anxiety and stuff don't know how to put up boundaries. They don't understand, because they're so used to giving. And sure, we can say, oh, well, I'm an empath, and I'm a psychic, and I'm this, so so everything just sucks on me. No, that's nonsense. Stop believing that. You have more power than you think. And until you realize that you have all this power within you, then you're constantly going to surround yourself with this type of idea. And that's going to let yourself in. And honestly, that's the hardest thing to do, is to realize that this is the way it needs to go, because a lot of people don't understand that. So you have to start building those walls, and not in the sense of defensiveness. I don't want you to become so hard where you're so defensive you're pushing out the world. That's not what I'm saying. These boundaries must be healthy. They must be out of love and compassion for not only others, but yourself as well. You have to start realizing that you and your mental and emotional and spiritual health is more important than anybody else. And that's a hard concept, because I grew up and I was taught family's number one, friends then, and the list went down. And no, I'm number one. My health, my mental, emotional, and spiritual health is more important, and physical health too, is more important than anyone out there, than everybody else. Why? Because if I'm sick, how can I help you? How can I be the best Miss Raina, even not even helping people, even just being a friend? How can I be the best Miss Raina out there for myself and everybody else if I'm covered in spiritual and emotional toxicity? I can't. If I'm putting on toxic clothes all the time, then I can't. And so you have to do that. You have to be able to release that criticalness. Stop imposing your ways on people. It doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you more right. Matter of fact, the funny thing is most of us who impose our ways on people don't even know what we're talking about. Like we're fighting over politics right now. And the sad truth is that most people who are fighting over politics are only fighting because they don't like the person in office, or they don't like the person running for office. That's it. They have most people don't have any concepts of what's going on other than what the recent ads have been telling you. And so you're going to push your way because you think it's establishing something, but really it's creating more hate, more chaos in your life. And who needs this? Who needs to establish all this false sense of self through everything else? You know what? If you feel the need to constantly have to push your way when things like 9/11 come up and politics come up and the virus and everything, no matter what comes up, whatever the next thing the TV is going to tell us, if you feel that you have to have that way and push your way on someone to give you a sense of self, then this shows you that you're not taking care of yourself. You're actually creating more illness within yourself, because people who are toxic are low vibration. This is a very low way of thinking to us. And if you want to raise, I mean, you don't need to be activated. You don't need to go to some special retreat in Peru and China and do all these things. You just got to remove the toxicity that's around you. I live in a house in Florida, and it's one of the most spiritual, most highest resonated vibrational places that you can visit. But you never know that. Why? Because you think that you got to go someplace foreign and someplace special with large crystals in order to do that. No. You can have that here, and it starts here, and it starts here, because that is where all of this comes through. So let's talk about positivity, because I have to talk about this, because a lot of us are always saying, I need to be positive, Miss Raina. Hey, let's be positive for the day. And yes, that's very good. I hear a lot of you saying, well, Miss Raina, that's one of your no-nos, positive. Yes, positivity, being positive or negative is Miss Raina's no-no. And why? Because this is a very toxic way of thinking. And you're going to say, what? How is being positive a toxic way of thinking? That makes absolutely no sense. If I'm being positive, negative is being toxic. No. Because this is a very toxic way of thinking. Because again, these ideas don't exist. Positive and negative only exist as like attraction, like magnets, like a negative side of a magnet to a positive side they attract. It's only for duality, to see perspective and to gain and to help us retain unity again. It does not exist as good and bad. It doesn't exist. And so you're trying to achieve something that you can't. And that's why it is toxic. That is why you fail, or what you say you fail. Because you're like, oh, well, I was positive today, but yesterday I was so negative. And man, I'm going to beat myself up. Boof, 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 boof. And I'm doing all these things. And that's the reason why. Is because you can't achieve something that doesn't exist. So positivity doesn't exist. There is no good or bad. It's going to lead you to this constant cycle of, oh, I'm doing really good right now, and then we crash. Oh man, I reverted. I failed. I was negative. I said negative things. I thought negative things. No, it doesn't exist. We cannot view life as positive. You cannot view life as and positive. Because what do we view positivity as? Well, if I'm always happy, I always got a smile, I never worry, and I'm always at peace with myself, then I must be positive. But if I'm depressed and I'm angry about something, or I get hurt, or I fail at something, or I don't understand something, well, then I'm negative and I'm a fail. Come on, people, you're better than this. This is not reality. And until you understand that concept, both mentally and emotionally, you're going to be trapped in an endless cycle of chaos. This is like you rolling down, like, have you ever, when you were a kid, stuck yourself into a tire or a barrel and your friend pushed you down? Now, that is the exact cycle that you're going to run into yourself over and over and over, because this is not reality. You're just going to keep rolling down the hill with no end because you can't achieve something that doesn't exist. This creates nothing but chaos. Positive. I live a very if you want to call it balanced, and I don't even like that term. I live life in the moment. That's all it is. If I'm sad for the day, then I'm sad. That doesn't make me negative. If I have an emotion or something that comes up from my past and it brings up anger, does that mean I'm being negative? No, it means I need to realize how to feel. I need to realize how to understand what it is I'm doing. So, hey, I have this shirt and it's angry. Okay, what is this shirt telling me? Why is this shirt on me? What am I being angry about? What is this going on? And that brings us into the emotional aspect of spiritual toxicity, because you have to realize that our emotional toxicity, a lot of it comes from all over. It comes from us. It comes from others. And until we realize that our emotions are just ways that we analyze data. Remember that all of our experiences, that everything we experience is code. It's data. Think of it, if you're a computer programmer, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you do HTML or whatever, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You put in code in order for the computer to understand something, in order to give us beautiful graphics and things like this, like the programs we're using today. And that is what is going on. We as humans, we're like antennas. And we're like deet, 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 deet. And so when information is coming in, those are what we call our experiences, our interactions. So when we're sitting there and we're having an interaction with two people, think of it as a radio station sending out the song to a radio that collects the song. And so the person is the radio station sending out information, and you're the antenna with the radio as the radio, and you're gathering all the stuff, and all of a sudden now you're playing the song. But the problem is because you don't know how to understand emotion, you read the data wrong. And so we become stuck in our emotions. We become angry, we become bitter, we become hateful because we don't understand the data that we got from the radio station. You don't understand the data that you receive from the other people. And so you're sitting there saying, well, this doesn't feel right, or this happened to me once, and this is happening to me again, and I associated last time with this, so this is the way I'm going to associate with this again. Because remember, that's what the brain does. The brain says, it's a filing system. It says, hey, wait a minute, Miss Raina, we've had this before. Let me look through really quick. Oh, remember this? Remember how bad you felt? Well, this is happening again. I'm going to make you feel that way again. The pituitary gets active and the hypothalamus, and all of a sudden, and poof, we are loaded with hormones, and those emotions are off to the races, and now we can't understand the data which is coming in. We have to understand that if we're going to become emotional masters, we have to realize that one, and you know what I'm going to say, emotions aren't real. And two, we have to learn to analyze the data that's coming in. All right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody. All right, let me see. Okay, so we're back, and we got about 20 minutes left, and I got so much to go over. I think what we'll do is in a couple weeks, or maybe we'll do a continuation. I don't know. Who knows? But so we have to understand how to analyze our emotions. And this is why we become emotionally toxic, is because we don't understand what is going on. We get all this mental information. We get all this stuff, and our brain is trying to file everything. It's trying to put everything the way it is. And then all of a sudden, it's like, we don't understand how to translate it to here. It's saying there's something missing here. I only know how to associate everything. And that's the danger, is because we associate things. We have to learn to say, hey, okay, if I'm associating with this, then what is the information that was in my past? Why is this? That's why we're so hung up on the past, is because you haven't resolved the past. You don't understand the past. You don't understand that everything that happened in your childhood was meant to set you up for your adulthood so that you can grow. Instead, you take it personally, and then you act out in anger, pain, suffering, the overthinking, being critical, being righteous, because we don't know what we're doing, and it's a shame, because we're slaves to our emotion. We are slaves to it, and that's why I work with my clients and my students all the time on their emotion. The very first thing that we start working is I start teaching them all about their emotions and how to recognize them, how to understand them, what they're used for, because you're not going to get on your path or whatever you want to go in life, because you're exactly where you need to be anyways. But you're not going to understand a lot of these concepts until you release all that's left in here. You got to pop that cork, people. And I know for a lot of people, you'll say, well, it's overwhelming. You don't understand. But I do understand. I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed. I know what it feels like to run out my house because I feel so overwhelmed. I just want to jump out of the earth because I feel like the earth is closing in on me and crunching me. I know what it feels like. I know what panic attacks feels like, claustrophobia, depression, anxiety. I know what it's like to have erratic mood. Trust me, I get it. I know what feeling overwhelmed feels like, but that is just an excuse we tell ourselves to not work on ourselves. You have to take things slow. You have to allow yourself on an emotional level to be understanding of who you are, to have compassion for yourself, to say, hey, you know what? Right now I feel overwhelmed, and that's okay. Right now I feel angry, and that's okay. Right now I feel hurt, and that's okay. Stop trying to shove away the things you feel and take one thing at a time and start to own it. Start to own these things that you're having trouble with. Start to own these things, and then start working through these things, and you're going to realize no matter what it is in your life, there's nothing out there that's too hard for you to handle. You have more strength than you realize, but you play the victim over and over. People are toxic, and they're angry, and that's the way they show it. They're filled with sadness and grief. They're filled with not understanding, and we have to be able to learn to understand that other people are just acting this way because they're the same as you. They feel the same way as you do. They're scared. They're afraid of things. They don't understand life. They're trying to tread through life, be the best that they can be. And a lot of times it turns out horrible. And because they think of themselves as failures, because they're not rock stars or athletes, or because they don't have a body anymore, that they're nobody. And so they act out trying to be someone just like you. And then we create all this hate in the world. Peace on earth, it really wouldn't be that hard if we take a moment to understand ourselves. But we treat each other horrible. We treat ourselves horrible. We fight and battle each other constantly. And we're always defensive, thinking that life is nothing more than a fight. It's not. Fighting goes on all the time, but not in my world. In my universe, it's peachy keen. It's A-okay. My universe is wonderful. It does. I love my life. I love my universe. I do not find drama and chaos and fighting. And when it does try to enter, it gets knocked out because I don't accept it for what it is. You have to realize that you're accepting these ideas. You're accepting it here in the heart, and you're accepting it here in the mind. And when you're doing that, that is what makes it fall apart. So bullying is one of those things that I want to talk about really quick, and then we'll get into, I'll jump to a little bit to the spirituality, because I'm looking at the notes here, and now I can't find bullying. Okay. And there's a lot, there's like 18 pages, and I don't think I'm going to get to the spiritual aspect. Maybe we'll split it into two, or maybe I'll make a video out of it for next week. But bullying is an issue. It's been an issue, and a lot of us have been bullied. I've been bullied. I was bullied from the time I can remember going to school all the way to my senior year in high school. It was like an everyday thing. I got so bad with anxiety and panic attacks that I never wanted to go to school. And because of that, I started acting out. I started hating people. I started fighting. I started rejecting who I was, because at one part, people liked me because I had magic hands and I could take away their pains or anxiety or whatever. But on the other hand, I was getting beat up every day and picked on and made fun of, to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. So it's not just a problem in school. It's everywhere. And even we do it to ourselves. If you tell yourself no all the time and you give yourself excuses and you play the victim, you're bullying yourself. If you think you're not good enough, and you think that, and you're always dreaming that you wish you could be this person, you're bullying yourself. And the reason why you're bullying yourself is because you're beating yourself down. It's not just people who are bullying you. It's you that are bullying yourself as well. And that's the sad thing, because people who used to be bullied often turn out to be bullies in their adulthood, because they're angry. They're so angry they haven't gotten rid of all the pain and suffering. They haven't made peace with their past, that they become angry. They beat themselves up. They beat up everybody else. And then, of course, you're going to struggle in life. You're going to struggle, and you're going to turn out to be someone you hate and miserable. And I don't care who you are out there. I don't, because when you're full of pain and suffering, especially from your past, what ends up happening is you're going to be that way. And you're going to be miserable, and then you're going to go home and you're miserable. And that's why people turn to drinking and drugs, because they know they're miserable. They hate the way they're acting. They hate what they're doing, but they still do it anyways because it makes them feel something, because it helps exercise that anger. It helps exercise that pain, and they have to do that. So how can we raise our vibration if we live a life being insecure? Because for many of us, I've been asked this many times, Miss Raina, I'm very insecure. How do we raise our vibration? Or how do we raise our vibration on being emotionally reactive? I'm very emotionally reactive. Someone says something and in a situation, and I'm like, bam. And trust me, I get it. I've been very emotionally reactive a lot of my life. I've always had great passion in me. And because I've had all this energy and all this passion, I didn't always know how to channel it. And a lot of times it came out as boom, fire. And especially when something just hit that trigger of mine. I hit that trigger and all of a sudden, bam, off to the races. And it's hard. It really is hard. And that's one of the things you have to realize is that if we want to raise our vibration, we have to work on ourselves. I know I sound like a broken record throughout my show and throughout this show, but it's true. You just can't go to some chanting place or some spiritual drumming circle or go fly to Peru or China, do something, someone put their hands on you and boof, magically, we're no longer insecure or we're no longer emotionally reactive to situations. It doesn't happen like that. I'm going to say this very clearly. It only happens when you work on yourself. That's it. Not all the meditations, not all the life coaches, not all the psychologists. Nothing can happen until you work on yourself. You can listen to my podcasts and my shows until you're blue in the face. Hey, you can pay me thousands of dollars a year to help you. But it doesn't work until you start to work on yourself. And that's just the fact of life. That's just fine. So if you want to raise your vibration, then you have to start changing the way you act. You have to start changing the way you think. And that's really where it starts with. It starts with love and compassion. You have to stop fighting. Start eliminating the people that help you create that toxicity. It's okay. You don't have to have 2,000 Facebook followers or 2,000 Instagram. It doesn't make you better of a person. It doesn't make you more likable. As a matter of fact, most of those people probably don't even watch your social media to begin with. And that's true. It's okay to have 100 friends. It's okay to have 50 people on your Facebook or anything. It's okay to have 4 or 5 people around. Hey, I know a lot of people, but there are only like 4 or 5 people that are in my life constantly that I text and talk to. And that's it. Other than that, I see them on the fields and softball, football. I see them in there. And then when our ways part way, it was nice knowing you. Thanks for the memory, and that's it. But when I'm on teams or if I'm around people that are aggressive and creating hate and judgment and laughing at people, I remove myself. I say, hey guys, I want to thank you for this wonderful dinner. Thanks for making me be on the team. I'm going to go elsewhere, and I do. I get up. I've gotten up right in the middle of dinners before and said, thank you guys. I want to thank you, but it's time for me to go. And then people have asked me, I said, I'm not going to sit here at a dinner and watch everybody laugh at people and make fun of people. I just don't want to be around that. Why? Because it's my pride. It's who I am. And I don't believe in that. Just like I felt bad for the people I watched on the YouTube for American Idol today. I was like, why do people, that's so sad. I feel the same way, and you have to get to that point. You have to start when you start treating yourself better, and you start treating yourself with love, and you start saying, you know what, I'm worth it, because we are. Because all of this, whether it's on a mental, emotional, spiritual basis, it all really it comes down to how you feel about yourself. And I know that sounds so cliche. That sounds like every other person that is spiritual and that, but it's true. The reason why that message constantly repeats itself is because it needs to constantly be repeated until people get through to it. I don't hide anything of who I am. I've told you I've tried to commit suicide several times in my life because at one time I disliked who I was. I was so mentally toxic because I wasn't cool with me being bisexual, or because I was questioning my gender at times, and I was tough at seeing spirits and guides all around me. And when I've told people a few times, they laughed at me, and so I had to keep all this, and it was tough for me. And so I said, hey, you know what? I was like, it's just, and I had to realize that on a mental and emotional level, that I had to change that way of thinking. I had to change myself and say, you know what? People aren't going to get me. And that's okay. That's the beauty of it. And now I love it. I love the fact that people don't get me. I love the fact that people see me as weird and strange. I love that, because that means I'm an individual. That means I love myself. That means what they're saying is Miss Raina's made it. Miss Raina has done it. Miss Raina is and that's what you can be. When you change yourself into somebody who victimizes themselves on a mental, emotional, or spiritual level and surrounds themselves with toxic people and toxic relationships and situations. And let me tell you, even if it's your family, you can be toxic, and you don't have to be around people that treat you bad, even if it's your family. But that's the beauty of it. When you transfer from that toxic person to that strong, confident person that I know you can be, oh man, I tell you, it's the most amazing thing in the world. It really is. It's the most amazing thing, because you'll lose so many people. And that's a wonderful thing, because you'll gain the perfect people for you. You'll gain the people who support you. Imagine people who cheer you on instead of laugh at you or judge you or get jealous of you. Imagine people who are there for you when you truly need it. That's a wonderful thing. Hey, I may only have 3 or 4 close friends here in Florida, but when I've gone to the hospital, they were there for me. When I was sick with my heart condition, they were there for me. So I'd rather have that than have all these party friends and all these people that don't care. I'd rather have a family not made up of blood that accept me for who I am. Everyone that I have around me now accepts me for that. They don't look at my gifts as strange. They accept it. They come to me for my gifts. They say, and they don't use me for it. They are my friends first. And then if something comes up and they talk to me about it, then we use it. But they don't sit there and say, oh, Miss Raina has this cool gift where she can. It's not like that. These are real people. And I had to get rid of all that. And that's what you have to learn. You have to learn to get rid of all this stuff. So it's just a matter of choice. You have to learn that what we're doing is we're chasing this idea. We're chasing this idea that we have to be a certain person. We have to be a certain place. We have to be all these things in order to be loved, to be liked, to be accepted. But the only person that you have to be all these things is to you. All right, guys, I think that's where we're going to stop. Let me see if I can get my notes for a minute. And they pop out of my... Isn't that like the second week in a row or the third week? Like I even hit the dog in the... She's like, what are you doing? She's like, Mommy, what are you doing? I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby cakes. But, all right, guys. So that's the show for tonight. So if you'd like to follow us, let's see if I can do this from memory. If you'd like to follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. Our YouTube is Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Don't forget to follow us on our website and sign up for our newsletter and access our VIP for our hidden shows. And if we ever have guests, sometimes they give special guest offers. And if you guys have any questions, like Josh did today, feel free to email me. I'd love to hear your guys' emails, and I will respond personally to them and maybe even have them on the show. But that's transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. Always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities, our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.